researchers and institutes in their quest for research excellence. Now, participant of the FDP. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Madam, Shubhra Dutta, ma'am, we can start.
To hear anything.
Okay.
So, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Dr. Miriolov, to invite me here for the session today. So, I just start with sharing my screen.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So today the topic that I am presenting on is research workflow management and manuscript publishing, measures and metrics. I understand that you have gone through an interesting day of workshop on data analysis and there have been great sessions around it. So I thought that at the end of the program, when you're going through manuscript publishing part, you know, how can I make it more relatable to you, because you've been learning all together about data altogether. So how does data analysis fit in with your manuscript publishing also, right? So what I did, I thought, okay, let me just share with you how the Indian research landscape has been growing over the years. So if you see, I have done this graph, which is from 2016 to 2019. So we are on an upward growth. And if we see regarding the volume of the publications coming from our country, it has been rising in a phenomenal manner. And we are now, I think, at the fifth place globally in terms of the number of publications we are doing. So the quantity wise, it's increasing. So number of people doing research, publishing research is growing. But on the other hand, if you see, so you can see India is over here at the fifth number position, even above Japan, Canada, France. So it's above all the other developed nations as well. But the challenge that I see over here, even with this growth, if you look at the quality of publishing material coming out from our country, right, and that is evaluated, generally, the quality of a publication, you must be knowing as faculty members, that it is evaluated on the basis of number of citations you are getting. But number of citations is an absolute value in relative terms. It does not give you much information because different subject areas will be having different citations, and you won't be able to compare just on the basis of citations how anyone is doing. So we have a normalized matrix which is known as the field weighted citation impact, which analyzes and tells you about the quality of publications coming out. So if you look at that, then India is so the global average is at 1. So anything above 1 is quite good. Anything below 1 is below average, and definitely needs improvement. So if we see that though India is at number 5, but we have a lot of catching up to do because our FWCI is 0.82, right? And the other countries who are below us, right, they are at 1 or above. So this lets us introspect the current scenario quite a bit because we shouldn't be getting into only the rat race of publication, that we just have to publish, but the quality of publication should also be looked at, because ultimately that is what creates your credibility as a uh, research oriented country. And if you break it down to a research intensive institute, university, and of course a responsible and reputable researcher at an individual level also, right? So holistically we have to think about, when you're thinking about publication, it should not only be about just let's go and publish, because in the long run these quick publications will not help you, right? And this is all the more important because the whole ecosystem of the research is also changing globally. It's no longer about you sitting inside your home and doing your research, and uh, not inside your home, I mean sitting in your lab doing your research and whatever you're interested in, and then probably come out with a paper. No, there are a lot of external factors influencing it, and the way you go about it, strategize about it also changes, because if you see, there's a lot of competition coming in, be it terms of, and everything is linked, be it terms of, you're applying for a job, you want to go for a professorship in some university of your choice, there's a huge lot of competition. If you talk about, if you got the job, right, and now you want to really do good work, you would need money for it, so there is a competition for funding, and then how do you showcase your work to prove that I'm actually a worthy candidate who should be promoted, or who should be given some responsible positions. So, and then to maintain that, you would have to not only maintain your reputation but also get credibility or impact of your research. If you're like really passionate about science, then you would have to see whether you're able to provide a solution to any of the industry challenges or societal issues. So are you able to deliver some sort of an outcome? And if you look at the individual level, I already told you these are the situations we are facing. But even at the institution level, the institution you're working at, they also are affected by the research you are doing, because the amount of visibility your research gets, uh, it helps the institute push itself the ranking ladder. If you look at NIRF, uh, because that's the local ranking that we have. Where is your institute standing? Now, that will depend on what sort of students you are getting, right? The quality of the students, the quality of the faculty you're trying to recruit, the team you are forming, the group you are forming over there. So, because ultimately it's about the manpower that is there which will drive the research, right? So everything is, as I said, interconnected. Plus the funding, if the institute is going for funding from DST or DBT, they do look at what is the H index of the institute, or even NAC for accreditation purposes is looking at it. So whatever research you're doing at an individual level is impacted. All these numbers influence how the institute's position is in the entire higher education and research landscape, right? But everything boils down, as I said, to basically from the institution, it boils down to the researcher, and everything stands at this research cycle that we are looking at. This is a very simple thing. Everybody knows about it. everybody is there at some or the other position or level of this cycle, right? There's nothing different. So basically, you start about looking at which problem you want to work at, what area interests you, what are those gaps in those areas, uh, what all work has been done, what needs to be covered, what can be done, what cannot be done, and you develop your proposal around it. You define your research question, and finally, after gathering data, probably you'll plan your project, and then you look at funding needs, whether you need an external expert for it. Probably a university. You are a professor of, let's say, computer science, right? And I really like this example. So you're trying to develop, let's say we are in this Corona times, and you're trying to develop a program, you know, um, so that you're able to analyze all the symptoms, given the big data analysis that's going on, which is possible. So you use artificial intelligence, and you want to develop a program to see what all symptoms are present, and if with your program, if you input the symptoms and you're able to diagnose or not whether this person will have corona or not. So as a computer scientist, you'll be able to do it, but alone there would not be much what to say, on ground use of this, unless you are able to collaborate with a medical science person who is able to tell you, these are the symptoms which are important, these can be screened out. So you need that expert solution also. So do you want an expert, outside expert for that? So are you having the complete infrastructure what you need, or you need to look outside for that? Do you have the complete funding needs, or you need to again look outside for that? So while planning your experiment, you go through all that, and then finally you do your experiments, and the data you get, you analyze, and then you decide, is this worth publishing or not, and then you go ahead with choosing the journal, right? Where do you publish? And then finally, you want more and more people to read about it, and so that you get, higher citations, which actually, right now in today's world, determines the quality or the impact your paper is causing, right? And then again, the cycle is repeated. You take up another topic. So this is a basic cycle that everybody goes through. Now, let's start with the first thing: developing your proposal or defining your research question. So, there is a methodology of refining your research question is that you follow the acronym FINER MAPS, right? And you look at your question and you say, whatever proposal you're developing, is it feasible? Can it be done? Is it interesting enough? Is it novel? Is it absolutely new? And these two are very related, because if it is not novel or interesting enough, your chances of finding funding would be difficult. Your chances of finding the right journal to publish will also be difficult, because coming from a publisher's point of view, they are also looking at their journal to succeed, you know and so that more and more people read it, and more people would be interested in reading the journal only if they feel that the work published is new, which has not happened, they have not read about it anywhere, and it's something in interest is of interest to the people of that peer community. So these two are kind of interlinked. Is it ethical? You're following the right processes. Is it relevant to today's needs? Right? Again, going back to the coronavirus example. Today you do a paper on
Hello,
coronavirus.
Gracias.
Hello. Okay. So today you are doing a paper on coronavirus. The funders would be interested, the journals would also be interested in quickly publishing a paper, because that's the need of the hour. But instead of coronavirus, let's say you are working on poliovirus. Not many people would be interested, because that thing is done and dusted with. Even if you come out with something like really, really of importance, you would have to strive hard to showcase. Uh, why is it important to take it up right now, right? Is it manageable? Again, are you able to do it yourself, or you need to look out for outside help? Is it appropriate? Whatever plan you have developed, does it match up to the question you are trying to solve? The potential value of it is, what is the outcome of this paper going to be? Some solution based application coming out of it, or you're trying to extrapolate, if we do this still so much work needs to be done and this can be done something, or it is basic research which uncovers some basic ground realities. So what value does it have, and is it systematic? So if you go through finer maps, the questions that come to your mind, and if you just break it into a basic layman language, then basically when you start off with your literature review, all these things have to be covered. You know, are all the possible areas that you've been working on covered? You've done your extensive literature review, because one thing is that if you miss out on something and that thing has been published, and because you did not do an exhaustive literature review, when you want to publish your work, you submit it to the publisher and they run a check, they'll come across some other journal who has already published it, probably a smaller journal, probably a smaller lab in a foreign country. But if it is published, then your work holds lesser value, right? And then you would have to either submit to a lower journal, a lower quality journal, because you would have to cut out data, or you would have to add some more material, some more data to enhance your work, right? Are you using your strengths in the right direction, right? Or you need expert help? Is it a trending problem? Is it required? Does it solve any of the industry or the societal needs? Can this be funded? Can this be published? Because if you're doing research and it does not help anyone, uh, then it will not even help you, right? Because you're not adding value to your field of research. So you have to go through all these questions while you're developing your problem. And if you do it beforehand, this will definitely make your process more efficient. Okay. And given all these questions you have, uh, we do have a platform known as Scopus, which kind of helps in resolving all these queries. One reason why it is able to do it, because of the amount of content that it has. So this number has changed. It's from 76. I forgot to update the slide. It has become 81 million items now. And the best part of it is coming from the world's largest database. That is, it has content coming in from 5,000 plus publishers. That is the largest number of content from the largest number of publishers, coming from the most numbered countries, which gives you a better perspective of how research is going on, not only in the developed nations like US and UK and Europe, but also in the developing countries, because these smaller countries, Brazil, Venezuela, Indonesia, Malaysia, their research intensity has been growing over the years. And since we share a common demography, our research challenges will also be the same. So it's good to have a look at them as well. So, given the need for a proper literature review, and I told you about that metrics have become very important in terms of analyzing data, you would have to plan your literature review in a very systematic manner. It just cannot be random that you just did looked at 10 papers, 50 papers, and then you started off your work. No, because as I said, if you miss out something, you're missing out some important information which would have influenced, or which has the potential to influence the flow of your work, right? So for that, literature survey has to be taken as a strategic information gathering process, not just going on to the any platform just looking for papers. So if you look at, depending on where are you in your research cycle, what information you are looking at, you would have to be careful about the source type, where you're getting your material from. Article, review, book, conferences. Because, see, if you're from the pure sciences, then you can just look at the journals and the new article publications. If you're from social sciences, you would have to look at the book publications. If you're in the computer science or engineering, besides journals, you would have to look at conference proceedings also, because those are also a publication set, right? Review, if you are writing a review, then you would have to look at all the reviews that have come, because reviews do not necessarily give any new information, but they collate all existing information and give a new insight, a new way of looking at it, right? So if you are writing a review, you would have to look at what are the already existing reviews, because the same uh, line of thought will not get you a publication in a good journal or a higher level journal, right? So first thing, you have to start with that. Then, what are the most popular journals in your area? Are you following them? Are you reading them? Because most of the material will be published in those uh, popular journals, and their readership will also be higher, right? So maximum publications or maximum information is coming over there. Then the quality journals, the high rated journals in your area, are you reading them? Because the top notch material will be published over there, and you would want to begin your base with such quality material. What has been the growth? If we look at the journal, we talked about, you look at good journals. But the good and bad of the journal is again a very dynamic thing. Today, a journal which is good can become or can deteriorate in future, and vice versa. So you would have to look at how the journal has been growing over the years, the number of publications it has been having over the years, just to know whether these are the right journals you're following. You know, you are looking at a journal where only one or two articles are really really good. Just because of couple of articles is good does not make that journal uh, the most wanted choice for that research community. So you would have to look at all these data also. What are the most important publications in your area? Of course, right now, the only measure for quality that we have is the number of citations, the FWCI. I told you, in the previous slide, when we're looking at the India data, field weighted citation impact. So, because whenever you start with work, you always have certain key papers, one or two key papers which you like to refer to always, which you like to always go back to always. So you would have to know what are those most cited papers in your area. And even if you're not taking them as a model for your work, but when you're writing your manuscript, then um, you should be able to justify your work if it goes against these popular papers. And for that, you would have to have information. What are those popular papers? Because uh, most of the times, the reviewers, if they go through your paper and they feel your data goes against these high impact papers, then they would ask for a justification. So it's good to be aware of it beforehand only. Then, besides citations and FWCI, there are some soft metrics also which you could look at, because you'd have to understand, although right now we do not have any other metrics to evaluate the quality of a paper except citations, but getting citations is not that easy. One, it takes a lot of time. If I've published my paper, let's say 2 months ago, my paper will start gathering citations probably after a year. That's the general scenario. Till the time your paper starts getting citations, it's very difficult to analyze how popular that paper is, right? So for that, the soft matrix is very important. How many people are viewing it? How many people are downloading it? Are there people mentioning it in the social media, like on Twitter or on some news blog? So is the paper being mentioned, which showcases that how the general public is also talking about this paper. Then, of course, literature survey also gives you an understanding of who are the subject experts in the particular area. Now, the subject experts this information can be used to look for potential collaborators. The institute can look for recruitment purposes. The institute can also use this data for assessment purposes. How good or bad that person is in a particular research area. And they probably I want to let's say Mahatma Gandhi University wants to start a center on nanotechnology. So they want to analyze in India who are the people leading in nanotechnology and probably who are based in Telangana so that it's easier for them to shift. Plus, it also helps literature review to understand how the interdisciplinary subject area is growing. I give you the example of the computer scientist, developing that program for corona, for which he needs the help of medical science scientist. So, uh, if you get to know about all the research happening in the interdisciplinary area, it not only gives you ideas of what can be done, but also, again, who can you work with? Also, is there any industry interested or working in this area so that you can start collaborating with them, right? Let's say I am a business management student, and right now the whole world is under this corona pandemic threat, and all scientists, be it in any field, want to contribute. But coronavirus is a medical condition, and mostly medical people would be researching on it. But me as a business management student, what do I do? So probably if I look up, are there any projects where business management people are working on coronavirus, and it gives me ideas what can be done, what new projects can I do, and also who is doing it and who can I collaborate with. So these are the various things that you should be looking at. Plus, in small, I've mentioned the various matrix which allows you to assess the right material for your work. And as I mentioned, Scopus allows you to analyze all material at this level. Going forward, so since I've been talking quite a bit about coronavirus, so I thought as an example I'll show you, because I've just been talking about it. So I thought I'll show you how this analysis will actually help you out. So when this coronavirus situation started off in the beginning of this year, uh, then all the governments got together, the scientists got together to come up with a very quick and potential solution and cure for this disease, right? So it was very imperative that we get up to speed, we quickly discover who are the people who have knowledge to start or work with, what are existing systems, how can we build quickly upon that, what will work, what will not work, right? So all of this information is very important. So if I look at the research trend, So I did some analysis on Scopus and coronavirus. So if you look at the research trend, you can see there was this number of publications coming in. So there was a sharp increase over here somewhere in 2003 when SARS-CoV-1 was discovered. And once a solution was found out, it quickly went down. And then again, MERS was discovered somewhere in 2012. But the blip is a little small because this was more of a localized problem. It was there in regionalized in the Middle East area only, so it did not concern the complete world. But then in 2020, we have coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2 coming in, and you can see almost a straight line as to the number of people working, number of publications coming out. That shows the the momentum of a particular field. Now, who are the leading organizations? All this information can be used in multiple manner, but right now, if I'm talking from the government's perspective, they already knew that these are the universities which are leading in coronavirus research even before 2020. So they do already have a base. So Hong Kong University was one of the first universities to get a very big grant for working on this. Then, if you want to know about who are the leading authors, again, you get to know where that author is working, how much has he published, what's the quality of your work, so that you can collaborate. And then I was talking to you about looking at the top journal and publications, right, that you should be following for your purpose. So we know that coronavirus publications is coming the maximum in Journal of Virology. And if you're working in this field and you're not reading this journal, then definitely you are missing out on quite a bit. Okay. Then I mentioned about the interdisciplinary research area. So, as I said,
Madam, sorry, can I interrupt here? How did
yes,
you come to this page, like to check the toppers journal and the maximum research? Can you just go a step further and lead me into it? Like, how did
okay.
you come? How do we find this, ma'am?
So this analysis was done everything on Scopus. So Scopus is a platform, is an abstract indexing platform, which is an analytical tool wherein we, with just a few clicks, you get all this analysis.
Okay. So this we get it from the Scopus site, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
probably if we have time later on after the session, maybe I can show you how did I actually get it.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, ma'am, okay. So let me see if we finish it on time. Then I'll take you to the platform. Then.
Madam, may I have a question to you?
Yes, please.
Is the part of work you are actually working on a paper? You have done this analysis?
All this analysis? No, 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 no. Just for this presentation.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay. So I was mentioning about the power of interdisciplinary research. There are two things. One, you'll notice the more you come out with a research publication in terms of collaborations, the higher the chances of your getting citations. Now this, and especially if you do it with this between different disciplines, then the probability of getting an application based outcome is higher. One, and because when you're collaborating, your work is getting exposed to diverse audience also, so that also leads to increase in citations. So collaborations are always promoted, I would say, or recommended in the research scenario. But right now, since I was talking to you about interdisciplinary research, so you can see coronavirus is definitely a medical problem, no doubt about it. So maximum research is being happening in the life science area. But if I want to know how other smaller areas, I'm a computer scientist or I'm an economist, then can I input or contribute to this research ongoing? So for that, this analysis will also help you. And we do see, you can see over here people working on AI, people working on disposable DNA chips, where you need to have input from the nanotechnologist, from someone from the engineering background. So all these different publications are also there, which gives you food for thought what can be done. And then I talked to you about you should be knowing about the high impact papers, which will give you one base information about that field. Two, because it is highly cited, means it has been widely accepted theory across the field. So it's good to be aware of those publications. So based on the number of citations, if I see this paper has received 2,300 citations on coronavirus, and it came in 2003, right? Long before we even heard of this thing. So this will definitely give you some preliminary information, and it's good to know about such papers. Then, as I said, the number is an absolute number, does not provide any information in a relative quality. So in that case, as I said, FWCI or field weighted citation impact, that helps, right? So if you look at normalizing everything given that time point, given that subject area, this paper, as I said, world average is 1, is 350 times more impactful or more cited than any other paper in that subject in that year. Plus, you have these other soft metrics. You know, this paper was cited by so many patents, right? There are so many readers for it. There are news mentions. There are 34 tweets on it. So you know how this paper is being circulated in the common society as well. That shows the impact of the paper. Now, the impact of the paper or any subject area will determine how you are receiving your funding. So you want to analyze where can I get my funding, or whether this particular institute is funding this area or not. So if you do an analysis on coronavirus, just the coronavirus subject, and then I see National Institutes of Health, that is the US body, is funding the maximum in this area, followed by National Natural Science Foundation. I think this is a Chinese body. But anyways, this can be done on an India level also. This is on a global level. We could do it on an India level also. So if I look at this, I did this on India level as well. And then I saw that ICMR is funding, which is a known. But what really interested me was that the Science and Engineering Research Board is also funding it. I had no idea that this would be coming up. If you want to find out more about, now, this data that I'm showing you over here, the ICMR funding, the NIH funding, this is all about the funding that has already happened. That gives you an idea of the trend which is going on in that area. Are these agencies interested in this particular project, or which area are they funding in correctly? You know, if you want to start on work, so you'll just see 1 year trend where this agency has been funding, what has been their focus, because they also have their own targets. You know, that this is my focus area for this year, something like that. But that information is coming out from Scopus. That's what I've done. But in case you want to know about the available opportunities, what is open right now, so this data on the right hand side, this box, this has come out from Mendeley, if you've heard of Mendeley. So if you go to Mendeley, it's a free site. You can go over there and check for funding opportunities in whatever area you're working on. I again did a coronavirus search, and I found 76 opportunities available globally for Indian scientists. So this is very interesting, because so that you're no longer confined to Indian funding availability, you can approach global bodies as well. So Mendeley gives you out all that information. Now, once we have gathered, you know, that's the first step you were talking about, developing a research plan, what all questions you should be looking at, the parameters you should be assessing for strategic information gathering, just to be yourself more efficient, in a lesser time period, you're getting the right material. Once you've done that, you look for your collaborators and everything. I showed you that coronavirus data where you can have a look at that. As I said, if I have time, I'll go back to show you how the data can be extracted. But after that, since you would be getting into the writing of the paper, right? For that, it's very important that you're clear what do you want to publish and what can be published, right? So whatever you publish has to be new and original, and what advances the knowledge and understanding in that particular area. Again, what I mentioned again, it has to add value to your current field. If it is nothing novel, you're just copy pasting someone else's work, you will get into a low quality journal only. And that has been plaguing our country right now. Although the number of publications is increasing, but the quality is diminishing because we are not looking at anything novel. We are not doing the right searches. For us, just getting published is the sole aim. So try to build up your analytical thinking by you're reading the right kind of papers. Okay, so once you feel that your data is strong enough to showcase something new, be it basic research, be it applied research, and then you can start planning what do you write in your manuscript, right? So I've listed down few questions which will help you analyze whether your paper is publishable or not, right? Is there something new and interesting? Was there something challenging? Is my work directly related to a current hot topic? Like I gave you example of coronavirus and poliovirus, right? Am I providing solution to some difficult problem? Even if there is no direct solution, but probably you are pointing towards that direction, even that will help. Or if nothing is new, is your methodology new? Again, coming back to coronavirus, we are doing a testing in one manner, RT-PCR test, we already know. Can we come up with another new test, new way of doing that test, right? So is the methodology different? So once you're able to answer these questions, you can start writing your articles. Multiple formats of article can be written, or publications can be written, or manuscript can be written. One is full article, right, which we call as the original article, which contain the entire story, right from why did you choose this topic, how did you do it, what does it mean, what does it infer, and all that. So complete story. If your work is you've just received some preliminary data and you feel it's very exciting and time is of consequence and you need to publish quickly, then you go for letters and short communications. Again, coronavirus has become my favorite example. So I have some data, preliminary data. I do not have much information, but just based on one data, I can present a letter or short communication because I want the world to know what I've already done, so that the other people also working quickly gain from my knowledge, because time is of essence over here. Now, you would need a very strong justification to be able to publish a letter or a short communication, just to showcase if you do not publish right now, your scientific community is to lose something, right? So this is important. Or you could write a review paper, which is, as I said, nothing new over there, but just a summary of whatever has happened, but a novel way of looking at it. Review papers generally are invited if people or if editors think that this person is an expert in his or her area. So For good journals, for high quality journals, the review paper is generally an accepted document, but smaller journals do take up review paper just like that as well. Okay, then comes very important question: choosing the journal where you should publish. Now it's very critical that you spend some time in choosing the journal where you want to publish, because generally it happens, we make a quick decision, probably 1 or 2 days, to decide this is the journal I want to publish. But because if you don't choose the right journal, there are multiple drawbacks. One, as I mentioned over here, you can submit only in one journal. If you do not choose the journal correctly, right, there's a high probability wherever you submit it, the journal will reject your work. Then you lose time. You'll go to another journal and you lose time. And time is of essence in research. In the time that you lost, some other person could have published, right? So, one reason. Two, if you do not choose the right journal, you will not get the right audience, right readers. If you do not get that, citations will not increase. So that in itself is a challenge. Because nowadays, as I said, your work will affect your institution's standing, and the data coming in from number of publication and citation is important. Again, be it accreditation, be it ranking, be it your appraisal for promotion, be it your recruitment. So that's why getting the right audience is very important. Because also you also want your work to be circulated, disseminated amongst the right audience, so that they are able to use your work to build the subject area further. Third, and one of the key critical issues that I'm currently seeing in India especially, if you do not choose the right journal, you want to go for quick publication, you did not do a thorough analysis. There are so many fraudulent journals around, or what we call predatory journals around. And if you fall into trap of them, then your work can be jeopardized for future. So even if you have put in some hard work, some 1 year, 3 year, 4 years work in one manuscript, and you get into the trap of a fraud journal or a predatory journal, that data will not be accepted by UGC, by NAC, by NIRF, like none of the bodies which count. So your work, although it is there in your CV plus one publication, but that's about it. It does not get you any points from anywhere. So, and the saddest part, you cannot republish that work anywhere, right? So you have to be very careful that you do not fall in the trap. So one way is, again, you look at databases like Scopus is one of the databases that you can check whether the journal is indexed or not, because it is the accepted database for UGC, for NAC, for NIRF. So you can have a check at that as well. So for choosing the right journal, you should be able to have a look at the aims and scope of the journal. Read the aims and scope of every journal. Go for journals which are specific in your subject area, and they are not, big multidisciplinary. If you're going for a big multidisciplinary journal which kind of publishes everything, then go for a reputed publisher, big publisher, right? If you go for a smaller publisher and they are multidisciplinary, there's something wrong, because they would not be able to have the expertise for all subject areas, the right editors for it. So try to go for a journal which is specific. Two, be careful about, don't go for third party solicitations. So if somebody says, oh, I know this journal, I have this contact with this journal which is indexed in Scopus, so I'll get your work published, just give it to me. Do not go for anything of that sort. You should be able to submit your work directly to the publisher. Never go for third party publications. Third, do not go for journals which claim that they will publish your work. You just pay some money, probably 2,000, 5,000, 6,000, and they'll publish your manuscript in an indexed journal, probably in a week's time, in a month's time. Do not go for that, because again, that's fraud. If somebody is claiming that they'll guarantee to publish your work on payment, that means they are not following the ethical process of peer review. No peer review can guarantee you a publication success. So stay away from such journals. So even if such journals are indexed in Scopus, they tell you we are indexed in Scopus, then also do not go for it, because Scopus database is a dynamic database. If the journal is there today, if it does not follow the right protocols, it will be kicked out tomorrow or in 6 months' time. And when it is kicked out, and if you publish with them, then your work stands jeopardized. So be very careful about the journal that you choose. Again, another thing is, most of the times we analyze the quality of a journal by its impact factor. Well-known fact, yes. So what impact factor does is it looks at the complete set of citations received by a journal in, let's say, this year for all publications in the last 2 years. Okay. But impact factor should not always be the best choice for evaluating a journal, because simple. One thing is, not all high impact factor journals contain equal citability, equal standing in terms of different subject areas. Also, you don't get to know, because let's say, again, I'm a computer science person, I publish in a journal impact factor 10. I am a social science person, I publish in a journal in impact factor 2. Going by the face of it, 2 impact factor is a lower category journal than 10. But you will have to realize the subject areas are different. In computer science, the highest impact factor journal could have been 40. So 10 is 1/4 of it. In social sciences, probably the highest impact factor journal could have been 5 or 6. So that means 2 impact factor rating is good. So besides impact factor, you should be able to analyze the journal with other metrics also while deciding where do you want to publish, right? So always use multiple research metrics to analyze any problem that you have at hand, whether you're doing your literature survey, I showed you multiple metrics over there, or whether you're choosing your journal. And use both qualitative as well as quantitative metrics as well, which gives you a better picture of how things are. So just for an example, Scopus does provide a basket of metrics for journal analysis like site score. Now, impact factor is not there for all journals. Then the journals which do not have impact factor, how do you know how good or bad they are? Are they all equally bad? You can't publish in any one of them. Not really. So we do have site score introduced, which is there for all journals, which is there in Scopus. I did talk to you about this subject variation, the computer science and the social scientist example I gave you. So SNIP is a source normalized impact for paper, which normalizes against different subject areas. Then for senior researchers, for them, the reputation of a journal is very important. So for them, the SJR matrix, which is a Scimago journal ranking, is very important because it's a prestige metric. Depending on where you are publishing, where are you getting your citation from? So I could be a high impact factor journal, but I'm getting all my citations from low category journal. But SJR, if it says that this is a high category journal, means even its citation and references are also coming from high category journals, right? So overall, the quality is maintained high. So this would be good for senior researchers, they're professors, they already have 10, 15 papers with them. So now for them, the quality of the journal would matter more. Then of course, there are other things that you need to be looking at. That is, let's say number of documents. If you're a young researcher, you probably have not published or you have published just one or two papers. For you, getting the number of publications need is higher. You very quickly want your publication. As I told you before, you should be running after quality and not quantity. That is there. But even if you want to run after quantity, then also it's a logical way of doing it. Yes, you check out good journals where the site score is good, impact factor is good. You check out those journals and see the number of documents they publish every year. So if there is a journal which is publishing only, let's say 30 articles in a year, and there is another journal which published 300, so the probability of your work getting published will be higher in 300. But of course, if your work is extraordinary, then of course you should be getting into the journal with 30 because that will be more prestigious, right? But as a senior researcher, as I said, just publishing is not important. Or even for a mid-level researcher, I already have 5-6 papers under my belt. Now I have to get more and more citations. So I'll check when I publish in a journal, how much is not getting cited. If there is a journal, high impact factor, but only 20% of its articles are cited, the chance that my article will be cited is low, is very low. So I would have to look at journals, even if the impact factor is not high, it's medium range, but most of the articles are getting cited. Citation is low, total number of citation is low, but average out if you see, then most of the articles are getting cited. That is more important because the target audience is right. More and more people read that journal if I publish that. So there are various ways of analyzing where do you publish, right? So this is all these metrics are again available on Scopus. Going forward, once you have done, you have chosen the journal wherever you are published, you want to make sure that your research gets the attention, right? The right exposure. Now, you have to be very smart about it because the number of publications coming out on a yearly basis or even on an everyday basis is very high. It has an exponential growth, Even if you do a Google search, you'll realize so many new publications coming on an everyday basis. Then how do you make your paper noticeable? For that, it's not something that you'll do after your paper has published. That will start right from the time when you are writing your paper. So, spend time on your abstract because that is what attracts the reader. The reader will first read the abstract. If the abstract does not make sense, if the title is not attractive, nobody will download your paper. Downloading requires time. Downloading means you're occupying space. So if I don't like it, I'll not download it. If I don't download it, then your chances of getting any citation is zero, right? Whatever data you're sharing, it should be clear, easy to understand. All information is there. The language in the manuscript you're using, there has to be a continuous flow and a rationale behind it. Why you're doing it, how you did it, why is it important. You just cannot just put in random things, right? It has to make sense. And very important, while you write your abstract and your title is to use keywords which are important in your study. You think from the term of the reader. If I'm as a reader, I'm doing a literature survey on, let's say, Google. So I'll type in few keywords. And if you want your paper to turn up when I do that search, then it is imperative you put that keyword in that title. This is known as search engine optimization, right? So you should be doing it for your abstract, you should be doing it for your title, you should be doing it for your figure legends. Promote your article, go to conferences, present wherever you can, put it up on your university website, uh, share it on your online presence. If you are there on LinkedIn, you're there on Mendeley, and of course your Scopus profile is automatically updated. Do check that if your profile is clean, because that is what is being noted by, again, all the various agencies I was talking to you about, and also recruitment agencies. All foreign universities look at Scopus profile, and now in India, I know at least the IITs do that also. So be careful how you are presenting your profile, because the world notices your profile. And your Scopus profile can be accessed for free. So do have a look. So here I have chosen an example of some Professor S.V. Rao, who is from University of Hyderabad. So this is his career graph in terms of publications. It has been rising. The number of citations has been rising. His H index is 39. You will be getting your H index on Google Scholar also, and which may be higher than what you get in Scopus. But it's no use following Google Scholar, because Google Scholar H index data is not accepted anywhere. Not at UGC, not at NRF, not at NAC. So be careful. So in Scopus profile, you also get what are your high cited papers, how effective your paper is. So you can see his paper has been cited 14 times more than any other paper in that subject area, in that time point. So that shows the impact as a researcher you have made. Also, it gives you access to the topics you have been working on. So broad topics you have been working on, what publications you have, and what is the worldwide momentum for it, and the quality of work that you have done. So quality of work done, FWCI, I've already explained. Worldwide prominence, so basically the momentum in that field. How many people are publishing? How many people are working? How many people are citing? So that shows there's a lot of interest in that field. So if anything, so everything over here is above 90. That means, and the quality of work is also good, right? Over here it's 0.76, means this person needs to put in more effort in this area, probably put in more money, a student extra over there. Or if it goes lower than 0.76 and the prominence also decreases, then it is recommended that this person altogether leaves this area and starts working on his other strength areas, because that will then provide him the right credibility. So again, all metrics and parameters help you to analyze your work, to track and assess the impact of your research, and how does it influence your institute as well. And that will finally influence the way you plan your research, or plan your research workflow and manage it well. So with this, I end my presentation, and probably we could do, if we can check if there are some questions.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just there is a issue of self-citations nowadays.
Yes.
People, so how is there any metrics, or is there any procedure by which you can actually cross-check it, or check it?
Yes.
self-citation.
So this Scopus that I was talking to you about, when you download your citations, it gives you an option to remove self-citations also. And that's what these ranking agencies do. So if you've heard of THE and QS, so both of these ranking agencies take Scopus data exclusively. That's only from Scopus. So I think THE excludes self-citation, but QS includes that as well. So it depends on their different agencies. So there is scope of checking your
And,
work
and,
without self-citations
and
also.
how the community looks towards self-citation, like, is it a bad thing or is it an acceptable thing in the community?
Depends on how many citations you're going forward with. See, one
Mm-hmm.
or two is okay because if you're continuing with the same base work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you think your work has been important, that needs to be cited because the reviewer will be looking at that point of view. Are the self citations too high? Do they justify?
Mm-hmm.
Were they needed or they extra? So that's how the reviewer looks at it. So I would assume
Yeah,
that
it can also be cross-checked by the references also, no, what you have given into the paper.
yes, that's how it is done. Yes.
Okay,
Ma'am,
thank you.
I have a question where I have only published one in Scopus, and the
Yes.
financial data is more of secondary data. I feel that if I go to primary data, then is it possible that my Scopus acceptance will increase? Is this the case?
No, see, Scopus, when you publish an article, you're not actually publishing it in Scopus. So, what Scopus does is indexes journals.
Okay.
So, if you publish in any journal which is indexed in Scopus, your paper will automatically be in Scopus. You don't have to do anything about it.
Okay. Okay,
You
ma'am.
just have to be clear about where you are publishing the journal.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Ma'am, I am Sanjay. Uh, Ma'am, I would like to know for regarding plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes. So what is the percentage they are considering for Elsevier, ma'am?
There is no fixed percentage. It is mainly the discretion of the editor, how they look at it, because it depends
Okay.
on when they do a plagiarism check, where is the plagiarism coming
Okay.
in from? Because it will be very stringent when they do a check on, let's say, introduction or especially discussion. Discussion and conclusion will be very stringent because you're supposed to be novel in that area. So over there, it will be probably 5-10% only. But if you go to areas
Okay.
like methodology is bound to be repetitive. So over there, it can go as high as 50% also. So it depends on the editor because each
Okay.
plagiarism, when it pops up, the editor takes a view of it. Whether whatever has come up in plagiarism is unavoidable or has been a deliberate mistake.
Okay. Common terms it will be they will never consider, ma'am.
I
Common
cannot
terms.
hear you.
The common
Government,
terms, ma'am. Common terms.
in common terms, I would say you should be able to keep it below 10 to 15% overall.
Okay. Okay.
Madam,
Thank.
Yes, please.
hello, madam. Madam, how to identify the cloned journal, madam?
Yes, so it's a very difficult thing. So you would have to look. So let's say if this journal is indexed. So clone journal is basically there is a original journal and somebody has copied that journal and they're having a different website. So all you have to do is have a look at both the websites, and if the journal is indexed, the original journal is indexed. And let's say it's indexed in Scopus. So you go over there and you check the articles listed over there and is it matching to what is there on the journal website. If it is not, then it is a cloned journal.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Any other question?
Ma'am, should we first shortlist the journals on which we need to publish, and then we will start writing on that topic on which the related journals are there, or we should first write that on the topic on which we are interested and then search for a journal?
That's a very good question, I would say, very intelligent question, I would say. I would recommend my personal recommendation over here, because writing is always your own choice. What are you comfortable with? How do you want to go ahead with it? So as I said, it is my personal recommendation. May not fit everyone, but I would say you choose the journal first and then you write, because journal would have its own aims and scope. So once you've decided your journal, so let's say again, I did a paper on, let's say, nanotechnology. Now, if I've done a paper on nanotechnology, let's say I made gold nanotubes for making a diagnostic kit for coronavirus. Okay. Now, this paper can be published in, let's say, a journal dedicated to nanotechnology. One. This can be published in a immunology journal where you talk about the diagnostics. This can be done in a interdisciplinary journal or multidisciplinary journal where you're talking about using developing a application. This can be published in a material science journal because you have developed a new material, use for new material. If you have developed a new process for developing gold nanoparticles, then probably you can go for a chemistry journal also. Depending on which journal you want to publish in, the way you begin your introduction, the way you conclude your manuscript will be totally dependent on uh, what do you want your readers to be attracted in and what should be the highlight messaging in your paper. So I would suggest choose the journal and then write.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, madam, for insightful information. I'd like to conclude the program. I'd like to conclude the session with few takeaways from the session, madam. In a brief, madam has discussed about quality of research, and madam has discussed about ecosystem of research, and also discussed about research cycle, and discussed more about scopus, and very important, madam have discussed about strategic information gathering. In single slide, lot of information is there, lot of single slide gives you more and more and more information. And madam have given a suggestion that every researcher have to know the popular journals in your area with high impact and citations. And very interesting information is that anyone is working in a interdisciplinary subject area, they can go for collaborative research. And madam have given this all session with excellent infographics as well as visualization. And madam have discussed about funding opportunities and how to choose the right journal. So this is very interesting actually. And also madam have discussed what are the ethical ways for search engine optimization when you're publishing after publishing the journal, after publishing your article in the journals. Once again, on behalf of Mahatma Gandhi University, I thank you, madam, for your valuable and insightful information. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was my pleasure to be here, and all the best to the participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Attention participants. Now it's 3:47. We'll have a short break for 10 minutes and the valedictory session starts at 4 or 4:05. The attendance link for this session is already shared in the chat box. Please fill it, and another attendance link will be shared soon after the valedictory starts. So there are two, please note there are two attendance links for this day, for this post lunch session. Thank you. We'll start valedictory at 4 or 4:05.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. Hello.